didn't see you there. Would you guys like to set sail on this ocean of flavor with me? I'll be your captain. I'm Steve Harrington.
And I'm Colin.
And I'm Whitney, and this is Scoops Ahoy, a Stranger Things podcast where we go week by week, chapter by chapter, taking a look at every single episode of Stranger Things. We have now made it through all 4 seasons, and we are in the deep, dark void as we wait for season 5, which now is not coming until 2025, which is just, it's absurd.
It is
It's
absurd.
I mean, it only took 3 years, and we were in the middle of a pandemic.
Everybody was all excited because on Stranger Things Day this year, 11 months from now, everybody's excited because we'll actually have a trailer. I'm like,
Yeah.
we should have
Yeah,
the show by then.
Yeah, like
why are we excited about a trailer?
Well, I mean,
We're excited about a trailer, but
I don't know
still.
what Netflix is going to do when Stranger Things is over, though. I mean, it
Yeah.
is what is keeping that streamer afloat,
No, I know.
I feel
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And the kids are done. I don't blame them. They're done. They're ready to move on to other projects.
Yeah, I
Like,
would be too.
I don't blame them at all.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, before we get into our Hopper deep dive, which is what this week's episode is, we should talk a little bit about that kind of stuff. There was the article in The Guardian. I can't remember when it was from. It was kind of relatively recently, kind of December something, early December 10th.
yeah.
The Duffers were interviewed by The Guardian at the opening of their play, The First Shadow. And talked mostly about the play, but the reporter did ask him about the final season and how it's going to wrap up and everything. And I don't remember which Duffer was saying this. Was this Matt? Said endings of shows are like opening a restaurant in terms of success failure rate. There's an 80% failure rate, I'd say. But I think one very particular way to fail is to attempt to appease everybody. We have a huge variety of fans that span a huge age range, and I'm sure they all have their own ideas of how they want the show to end, but we're not consulting social media on this.
Thank God.
And then you just hope and pray that it resonates, but it was funny. Once we got there, it just felt right, and we're going for it. So
yeah, and I don't know what it was or where I was reading it. I just do not know how they're gonna I don't understand how they're putting so much stock into the play being canon when it's not going to be widely available to most of the audience.
Yeah.
And people are looking for clues in the play to try to figure out the ending of the
and
show.
like even with leaks and stuff like that, it's still not the same as sitting there for 2.5 hours and taking it all in and understanding what it's all about.
And it's just I just cannot imagine that there is anything that is going to affect the ending of the show in the play. I think it's simply there to give backstory.
Right.
I don't think I don't think the play is where we're going to find the key to VH1's existence.
No, I don't either. I mean, that would have obviously already come out because it's been open now for a week or two, I guess.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's longer than that, I thought.
Well, they were in previews for a couple of weeks, but it officially opened right around the 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th, somewhere in there, something like that. So 3 weeks, something like that. So
I don't know. I have almost to the point where I've pretty much checked out of looking for leaks or anything because it's so early, and which it's not, I'm not complaining. I want them to do the best that they can do, but I'm real over the weight.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like I'm mad. I know they've taken their time or whatever, but it is severely dampened my excitement at the moment for anything new because I'm just
it'll get ramped up again, but it's going to take a long number of months.
I really think so. I'll be real into it when we get closer, but for now I'm just kind of when anybody mentions Stranger Things or trying to figure out the ending, I'm just
Yeah, no. I mean, we'll do our theories probably, I would assume, maybe after the trailer comes out or something like that. Then we can kind of start getting into theories, but it's just silly to even, speculate. It's silly to speculate then. So imagine how silly it is to speculate now we don't have any clue,
Right.
So, but yeah, filming's supposed to be starting. Table reads are supposed to be starting. So, they're kind of ramping up. So.
Yes, I can't wait till we get the last table read picture so we can put them
Yeah.
side by side.
Right. All our babies are all grown up.
I know.
Yeah,
It's weird to see how young they were.
it is. Yeah. I went back and watched a couple episodes from season 1 a couple weeks ago just to see it, and
Yeah, they're just
they're so
babies.
tiny. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You want to talk Hopper?
Let's talk my man.
All right. So James, or as we know him, Jim Hopper. I don't know exactly when he was born, but the running theory is it was somewhere in the 1941-42 range, which would
Mhm.
have made him 41 or 42 in season 1 and kind of 44-45 by the time season 4 rolls around. What we do know about his backstory is he grew up in Hawkins, obviously went to high school with Joyce and Bob. And then after high school, obviously went to Vietnam and had all the Agent Orange stuff that he was telling Enzo about when they were in jail together.
Mhm.
Was a police officer in New York in the 70s, and then came back to Hawkins 4 years before season 1, which would have been 1979, and was chief of Hawkins PD. Has an ex-wife, Diane, has his late daughter, Sarah, and now he's obviously adopted Jane, or Elle. There was in the trivia section on the Wikia page, some thought that he may have been named after Jim Hopper, who was not a character in Predator, but he was kind of there in Predator, but his group were the first victims of the Predator and Predator. And so they reference him. He was he was kind of skinned alive and, in the trees and
Yeah.
stuff.
Wait, you think that his dad named him after that?
No. I think the Duffers
Oh,
may
I
have
was
pulled the
like,
name.
it
No.
wasn't out yet.
The Duffers may have pulled, because they did a lot of kind
Yeah.
of pop culture kind of things. So they may have, kind of pulled the name from there,
Yeah.
because they have referenced Predator before, and they've talked about how much they love Predator. So it may have just been, coincidence, but I think it was probably in their mind. But they obviously, in that video that we pull clips from all the time when we did the influence episodes, obviously, and we talked about it too in the Indiana Jones thing, how they kind of wanted the Indiana Jones vibe.
Yeah. And
For
everybody
him, so.
yelled at me and said that they thought that that David Harbour's too old to play Indiana Jones.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, he's not.
I mean,
We have an
Harrison Ford's
85-year-old
yeah,
playing him
so
now.
Harrison Ford's in his 80s and he's doing
Yeah.
okay. So yeah. So I went back just for the heck of it and looked at Montauk, which was the original pitch that the Duffers made to see what they kind of envisioned for Hopper way back at the beginning. And they compared him to Chief Brody from Jaws in the original pitch. They referred to him as the reluctant chief of police in Hawkins, and envisioned someone along the lines of Ewan McGregor or Sam Rockwell playing the character.
I could have seen Sam Rockwell doing that. Ewan McGregor, I don't know, but Sam Rockwell, I could have seen.
Yeah, that would have been, because he was the cop in Three Billboards. So you can kind of picture what he would look like as a cop.
But I
yeah.
don't know. I see more of like what is it? The way back? The way
Yes.
back?
Yeah, the way back.
I
Yeah.
could see him like that kind of attitude,
Yeah.
like too cool for school.
Yeah. So the paragraph that the Duffers wrote up about Hopper in the Montauk Bible said that Jim Hopper is in his early 40s, is the chief of Montauk Police, grew up in Montauk but moved to the city immediately post-graduation, made a happy life there, but it all shattered when a tragic car accident killed his 4-year-old daughter. He retreated to his hometown and now lives a hedonistic lifestyle in a shack by the beach. He drinks heavily, chain smokes, and abuses Tuinal, a potent barbiturate popular at the time, which has since been banned. Hopper took over the job of chief not to help others, but because it required little of him. After all, nothing bad ever happens in Montauk, or so he thought. This changes when Will goes missing. In order to stop evil from spreading, Hopper will have no choice but to confront the darkness of his past. So, and I actually went back and I went through the original pilot episode that the Duffers wrote, which is actually pretty close to how it wound up.
Yeah.
And the only, they give like stage directions and that kind of stuff. And the only thing they really say there is that Hop is in his early 40s. In the first scene, he's sprawled on the sofa, shirtless, wearing only a pair of worn Levi jeans. His house is a mess, cluttered with beer bottles, cigarette butts, and plastic vials, which is,
Plastic vials?
like pill bottles.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Not
he
like
brushes his teeth with
not like
beer.
Walter White or anything. Yeah. No. Line distribution wise for our buddy Hopper, he had the 5th most lines in season 1 with 277, second most lines in season 2, 293. He had the most lines in season 3,
which is wild.
It is kind of wild, yeah.
But it makes
with
sense.
353 lines in season 3. And then in season 4, he had only 120 lines and was number 15.
I feel like that's because of the way they sort of segmented everything.
Yeah. Overall, for the entire run of the series so far, he has the 3rd most amount of lines at 1,043 lines. And he has appeared in every single episode, including The Lost Sister, with the exception of the first episode of season 4 of the Hellfire Club, in which he is
in Russia,
which he has not seen at all. So, talking about David Harbour, the man, the real man, he was born April 10th, 1975 in White Plains, New York, graduated from Dartmouth in 1997, started out doing a lot of stage work, did some minor film roles, went through literally all of the Law and Orders. He had little guest stars, guest stints.
Oh yeah, and he plays a bad guy in he's one of like the henchmen in, is it The Last Boy Scout, or it's one of those type movies, and he's like a bad guy, he like tortures them.
Yeah. And then in recent years, he's really come into his own after Stranger Things started. He had Hellboy in 2019, Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson in 2021, Violent Night in 2022. And then this past year, like 3 days past year, he had We Have a Ghost and Gran Turismo, which I've seen both of those, but Gran Turismo, he was actually really good in it.
Netflix is pushing it hard for me to watch it. I just haven't yet.
It's he's good in it. The movie itself is kind of, whatever. It's exactly what you think it is, but he's kind of fun in it.
It's about the making of the video game, right?
It's the story. No, it's the story of how the video game creators recruited or set up a competition along with Nissan to find a really, really good video game player to make him an actual real life driver on the circuit. So they take a really good video game Gran Turismo driver and they make him a real race car driver. And it's a true story. And the guy's actually still a race car driver today. So, yeah.
Well, he's very open about his struggle with like bipolar disorder and stuff. If you've ever read those like really long, they did like a whole profile on him in, can I remember what the magazine was? Probably Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
I think. And he was like talking about like how he didn't want to get it treated for the longest time. He was like in denial, and he's just like, like he basically can't function. Like his bipolar disorder is like very severe, and he's a very big like advocate for like getting like help for your mental health, and like there's nothing to be ashamed of. Like it's literally not your fault. Like it's just, there's a chemical imbalance and all that stuff. So it made me love him a little more.
That's awesome. Yeah. He married Lily Allen in 2020. They live happily now, kind of I think they split between New York and London.
Yeah, they did I know I saw it on TikTok, but that's not what it was for. But it was like a little house tour.
Yeah, like an architectural digest kind of.
Yes, their house is very eccentric.
Yeah, it's really, it's old world, but kind of loopy. It's kind of weird. I'll see if I can find it.
And she's got, I think she has 2 daughters that he's a stepfather to.
Yeah, I can't remember. It sounds kind of right, but yeah.
Yeah, because they came to the premiere.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
In the awards world, he's been nominated a bunch of times. He won, David Harbour did, the 2018 Critics' Choice Award for Supporting Actor for Stranger Things. Was nominated for the Primetime Emmy in 2017 and 18. Was nominated for a Golden Globe in 2018. Nominated for a SAG Award in 2018 and 2020. He obviously, with the rest of the cast, and famously won the Ensemble SAG Award in 2017, and then was also nominated in 18 and 20. And then Online Film and Television Association for Supporting Actor, he was nominated in 2017, won in 2018, and was nominated again in 2022. So that's kind of all the background stuff. So we've gone through
all the awards.
Yeah, we've gone through and picked out some top moments, but do you want to talk at all about him as a character and how he's evolved and stuff, or do you want to leave it to the emailing kind of?
I mean, I just love him.
Yeah, I do too.
There's not a whole lot. Like I have to, people complained about him in, is it season 3 or season 2? They're like, I
Well,
can't remember
there's an email later too. There was some discussion about um, how he kind of basically, betrayed Elle, kind of traded
Oh, yeah,
Elle,
yeah, yeah. About like at the
and that
beginning.
whole thing. But I mean, I kind of like how he's not, I know he's kind of a flawed character anyway, and we see that right off the bat with, the drinking
Mhm.
and the drugs and all that kind of stuff. So he's not like, superhero cop, yay,
No, not at all. Well, he
yeah,
didn't even like, wasn't even taking it serious at
no.
first. He was just
Um,
kind of like, oh, and then he's probably just, running away or whatever.
but I think the Duffers, did a really good job at kind of developing him, making him well-rounded from the start, and then also developing him more and more as the show went on. You think about, everything that he's gone through, from the fist fights and, having to deal with motorcycle helmet guy and,
Hmm.
obviously going into the jail and escaping from jail and getting his toes all scrunched up and, all that kind of, I mean, everything, just kind of, he's been through so much, but he's just stayed really human and really, kind of grounded and down to earth through all of it,
Oh, yeah.
which is I think a testimony to not only the Duffers writing, but the Harbor's acting ability. He is phenomenal. And I think, you know, I went back and looked at my MVP and I pulled him as MVP 3 or 4 times, I think. And
Hmm.
you mentioned Hopper as, MVP several times. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so good.
I think it was, I'm just not, it just came to me. I think people were complaining about how mean he was to Mike in season 3. And they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like, that was, you can't threaten to kill a kid or da
Yeah.
da da.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
He was a dad. He was being a
yeah, Wayne,
dad.
yeah, come back and talk to me when you're a parent.
Yeah. Right.
Then we'll have this conversation.
Right. So we went through and did our kind of top 5 Hopper moments, which is absolutely impossible because I think we came up with a list of 15
Yeah.
different
It's
things.
just,
So
I mean, it's just like
yeah.
everything the man does.
So honorable mentions included. I love the whole hair tie thing with the blue hair tie, and keeping that as a running
Yeah.
theme, and how he wore it and kept wearing it, and then gave it to Elle. Obviously, you had mentioned mornings are for coffee and contemplation,
Hmm.
which is also kind of funny because when I went back and read the pilot script, it's not in the original script. That line isn't in the script, so I don't
No.
know if it was written in later or if he
Or
improved
if
it
he
or
like,
what. Yeah. Leaving the Eggos in the woods for Elle, the whole 3 rules idea that he did with her, the radio apology when he called her on the CB radio when he said he
oh
was late
gosh.
and was
Yeah.
apologizing. These are all honorable mentions, by the way.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Nana, the whole
That's
Todd
my
father
favorite one.
scene, sacrificing himself at the end of season 3, to get blown up in the Russian machine. And then obviously, killing the Demogorgon in the prison at the end of season 4.
I go back and watch that montage. Like, I should be ashamed by how often I just go back and watch it. Like the running up that hill, like
Yeah, yeah,
remix where
yeah,
they do it and it's
yeah,
all them like fighting all the big bad.
yeah.
Like,
Everything's going on at once. Yeah,
oh yeah,
it's
like I
it's
just
so
will
good.
go and watch it
Yeah,
just for giggles.
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I actually, you had done a cheat sheet article on, kind of top Hopper moments, so we can post to that too. You had
Oh
you had
yeah. I went through, I think I did several characters when I was there because that was like what I covered. So I think
right.
I know I
Yeah,
did Hopper. I did Steve and Dustin as a duo. And I think I did Robin. I might have done them all actually.
yeah, yeah. Might have at some point. I just found
I
the
don't
Hopper
know.
one, so we can
Yeah.
include a link to that. So okay, so get through all that. So top 5 Hopper moments. I had at number 5. The whole, when it comes up again and again, the whole "you don't mess around with Jim," but because
Yeah.
obviously he's Jim. So the dancing flashback when they're doing the thing, and then obviously later it comes back up when they're
I was
driving
gonna
the
say
car and
you
stuff.
like season 2, but I like season three's version of it
Yeah,
when he's in the car
yeah.
or his truck.
So I had that at number 5. You want to just alternate these?
Oh
Is that
yeah, that's fine.
okay?
Number 4, we had Joyce, his hug outside the snowball when they're talking about how they used to hang out and
Hang on,
smoke
the bleachers and
cigarettes.
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. And I don't know. I feel like that's the moment you can tell that he's in love with her. And I feel like he's been in love with her
yeah.
for a very long time.
Yeah, I think that was a really neat moment, just as a character kind of development thing. And then obviously, I was talking about it, kind of his humanity and grounding him later. I mean, it
Mhm.
really just kind of gives him, some more emotional depth and more emotional background. And you're right, it sets up the whole Joyce,
Yeah.
relationship going forward. So number three, this is so bizarre that all these honorable mentions. And at number three, saving Will in the Upside Down, which could be number
Yeah.
one. But yeah, the fact that he went into the Upside Down in the hazmat suit, trudged through everything,
Right.
pulled him out and saved him, which I think was really good.
Well, again, a testament to how much he loves Joyce because I mean, he's just affected by Sarah's death too. So he's just like, I'm not gonna let another kid die
Right.
on my watch if I can help it. Not that he could have done anything to help Sarah, but
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, just to go in and do what he did and stuff. It obviously also is a character change in the fact, you think, at the first episode of that season, he's the one sitting there, not taking it seriously and
Mhm.
is all, pissy that Joyce is in the office and everything. And by the
Yeah,
end of it, he's risking his own life to go into this alien world and, rescue this,
right.
this little boy. So yeah.
Um, Number two, we have where he adopts Elle officially, and it's him and Owens when he
Yeah.
gives him the paper, and I don't know, I didn't see it coming.
I didn't either, honestly. Yeah.
I didn't like it makes sense, obviously. Like when now it's said and done, I'm like, oh yeah, well, yeah, that's what he was gonna do. But I don't know. I kind of almost thought that she might go live with Joyce, but
Yeah.
no, he was just really sweet, and it just showed like how much he really like was diving back into being a dad again.
Yeah, and it was a really neat way, and all the mass hysteria and confusion at the end of season two to kind of bring it back down and
Hmm.
have a nice little quiet, really heartfelt moment,
Hmm.
which was kind of nice. So, and then the number one, I think Hopper moment, and we can drum roll. I wonder if anybody could guess
I
before we say it. I wonder if anybody has any idea. I mean, there's only one real thing, really one thing left. But yeah, so it's the letter that he writes to Elle at the end of season three that she's reading as everybody's packing up and everything, and
Oh, it
so
breaks my heart
yeah, it's so
every
like,
time.
oh. So having that being read while everything else is going on in the background and everything, and it ends with the, keep the door open 3 inches, which is just, just just really great. So those are our five. And obviously people wrote in their own, but you can also email us and let us know what you think of, our list and see if we forgot anything or whatever. So, but I
We
think that's
didn't.
about all we have to say about Hopper, and we can just kind of
And now it's time for the
let
stars of this show.
let the scoopers take over. Yeah.
They've got emails, and first up, we've got Nate, and he says, "Hello, strangers. I wanted to look into Jim Hopper's personality based on the Enneagram personality test, and we'll have a link to that.
Yeah.
It says his personality is called the diplomat. Their basic fear is being hurt by others, seen in his relationship with Joyce. They prefer a role of leadership. He's the sheriff. They defend themselves by building emotional walls and denying vulnerability. They seek to appear strong, aggressive, and motivated by their instincts. They are confident, good leaders, and help those in conflict negotiations. Seen in the confusing negotiation he does for the kids.
Right.
They have a softer side when it comes to loved ones, which I think is beautifully shown in his relationship with Eleven and Joyce. I think the Duffers do a good job of creating a really authentic character. And last thing, can you make an episode about continuity errors or maybe address if you ever do a Zoom call again? Thanks for everything. Nate. They have a lot of continuity
There
errors.
are quite a few continuity. I mean, we've talked about just the music continuity errors, if nothing else. But
Yeah, like if we're gonna like break down like years and be like this song wasn't out yet.
yeah,
But to their credit, they only use it. The kids are never listening to that song.
right. It's just kind of
It,
playing in the background. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
But yes, that's a good episode
that's a good
idea.
call. Yeah. Okay. Next email is from Quinn. Ahoy, Quinn in New Hampshire. Quinn.
Yes.
Ahoy, Colin, Whitney, and all the scoopers at sea. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday season. Yes, everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah,
Yes,
Happy New
yeah.
Year. I just enjoying the start of a great new year. First, some old business. I wasn't aboard the SS Scoops Troop when you aired your Mike Wheeler episode, so I wanted to add my 2 cents real quick. Call it a festivus airing of grievances toward anyone out there hating on Mike. Yes, Mike is an awkward, moody teenage boy, but that series of words is basically redundant, and it's all due to a single preoccupation, 11. Where Elle's involved, he's 100% committed, whether right or wrong. Forgive me if this is old news, perhaps I missed it, but one of the best scenes that captures his commitment is in the sauna test in season 3. After the Mind Flayer Billy thing escapes and is fighting Elle in the weight room, he gets the upper hand and has her in the Darth Vader style chokehold. Up till that point, all the kids are off to the side staring slack-jawed at the action, but out of the group of friends, it's Mike who shakes off the shock and lands a lead pipe to the back of Billy's head at no small risk, no small risk to himself. If anyone thought it was just a teenage crush between these two, it becomes apparent at that moment just what Mike is willing to put on the line for Elle. So, what has 2 thumbs and remains a staunch supporter of Mr. Mike Wheeler? This guy, says Quinn.
I feel like that scene too is it also, I don't know, it's just the way I look at it and the way I see it. It feels like it's a very like clear glimpse into Millie and Finn's friendship too, because when he catches her, when she falls back, like, I don't know what it is. There's just something about it where I'm like,
it feels
like
it's real.
He wanted to make sure that she didn't get hurt.
Yeah, and she was. I remember we were talking about that she was just exhausted, like physically exhausted after filming those scenes. So, yeah. Next, Quinn says, a couple of songs I neglected to add to my list last month are Life in a Northern Town by Dream Academy, which is just a great song. I haven't really talked about it yet, but here's that. Says the music does a good job capturing the feel of a cold winter's day, which it does, which could work in a Christmas New Year's timeline. Speaking of Christmas, a few 80s Christmas songs to set the mood, if this is indeed when season 5 will occur, include Christmas Rapping by the Waitresses, which is one of my all-time favorite Christmas songs. I love that song. Last Christmas by Wham,
that's one of my favorites,
which I don't love. And then Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC, which is here.
Yeah.
It says, lastly, speaking of Christmas in Hollis, it was featured in one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time, Die Hard.
It's the only thing I think of when I hear that.
Not a Christmas movie.
It is. It's 100% a Christmas.
It came out in July. It is not a Christmas movie.
I don't care. It happens at Christmas. It does
happen at Christmas. It's not a Christmas movie. Another great song from that soundtrack is Skeletons by Stevie Wonder, which could match the potential theme for the upcoming season. Just that. I've never actually heard that song. It's kind of catchy and fun. So anyway, now on to our business. Chief Jim Hopper. I presume Hop's going to receive a ton of well-deserved praise and admiration from the audience for his heroism and self-sacrifice across the show, and I agree with all of it. But I do want to re-explore one less flattering scene in season 1 when he struck the deal with Brenner in the Upside Down, episode 8. I've heard legitimate criticism of Hopper's decision to give up Elle's location in exchange for access to the gate and the safety of the kids. I've also heard theories trying to explain away any of his culpability for the act, i.e. he knew 11 could defeat Executioner Connie Frazier and the truckload of Ensign Rickies that traveled with her. But I think he could see the reality of the moment. There was no solution to their predicament, only trade-offs. Recall that he didn't know Elle at all at this point. He didn't know her background, her personality, or the extent of her abilities. He had just met her when they rescued the party at the junkyard, or when he rescued the party. And you can see in episode 7, the bathtub, when they gather at the Byers' house and Elle confirms that Hopper saw the lab was the gate, he stares at Elle with what I interpret, says Quinn, as a look of grave concern. I believe at this point he thinks she is dangerous to him, to the kids, and to the town. So when they find out that Will is still alive and needs to be rescued from the Upside Down, Hopper makes the practical trade-off to save Will and protect his friends and his town, get Will back to the real Hawkins, get Elle back to the lab, and get Brenner to take care of the Demogorgon. But it doesn't work out, so Hopper gets a chance to learn more about Elle and what she did for the boys and for the town, and also figures she's out there somehow, still out there somehow. Then there's when Hopper is picked up in the black government vehicle. That scene's in the final episode for a reason. I think it's when they bring in to meet the new boss at the lab, Owens. And this is when he and Owens hash out their deal about Owens keeping the Upside Down out of Hawkins and Hopper keeping things quiet. I always thought it possible that Owens told Hopper in that meeting that he suspected Elle wasn't dead and could still be in Hawkins somewhere. Regardless of how he learns that Elle is still around, whether it's the hunter in the woods, which is kind of my thought, Hopper now has a safe town and a chance to reconsider his original trade-off, so he sets up the box in the woods for the food and the Eggos and starts looking out for her like he's always been looking out for everyone else. Because that's Hopper's chief characteristic, he's a good shepherd, the guy who will always look out for others, even when he sometimes literally has to take it on the chin for doing so. Till next time, Scoopers, fair winds and following seas from Quinn in New Hampshire.
I still never put it together that he gave up her location.
Yeah, I actually hadn't either until I went back and watched it like the third or fourth time or something like that.
Like I still like it never like you have to remind me that that's what he did. I just assumed that they could track her with like seeing. I mean, if they knew how to find where the gate was, or you know what I mean, like then they could have found her, right?
Right.
Because all they needed was a compass.
True.
Really?
Well, I don't know if the
right?
compass. I don't know if the compass would lead to her necessarily, but
it would lead to a gate which was open in the school.
Right.
The Demogorgon got there.
True. Or unless the gate in the lab is stronger than that gate, and then but whatever. But yeah, it is kind of
well, and I still don't know why he knows to put the Eggos in the box. Like, why?
Right. That yeah, and yeah, I'm still kind of unclear on that too. So even if he knew that she was out in the woods somewhere, I mean,
how does he know she's going to check that box?
The woods are that big, and how would she know to go right there? So yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing.
And if you played the game on your phone, the woods are pretty big.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of woods.
There are a lot of woods. Mirkwood, they call it. Yeah. But
okay,
thank you, Quinn. That's a good email.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Quinn. Next up, we have Kirsten. She says, hello, Collin and Whitney. Hope everyone had a great holiday and hope you all have a happy new year. I'm so excited for the topic of this month's podcast episode. Hopper is one of my favorite characters in the whole show, and I love everything about him. He is a character that has grown on me as the seasons have gone by, and I'm so happy he's still alive. Following the end of season 3, I was absolutely heartbroken, but I knew somewhere in my heart he wasn't actually really dead. I watched all of season 4 for a Hopper and 11 reunion, and when we got to that, I couldn't help but cry tears of joy, not Joyce. Seeing 11 and Hopper's relationship grow over the course of the series has to be one of my favorite parts of the show. A father who lost his daughter and a daughter who didn't have a father. It's just like it was meant to be. I am currently reading a Stranger Things novel called Darkness on the Edge of Town, and it is both a story of 11 and Hopper around Christmas 1984 and a prequel on Hopper in 1977. I won't say much about the actual storyline in this email just in case anyone wants to read it, but I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to know more about Hopper before the beginning of Stranger Things. I don't know if that's canon either.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I just picked up Flight of Icarus, the Eddie novel. I haven't started it yet, but I got that, and then I got my cool Little People up there. So, and I got the new poster, the season 2 poster back there too. Kind of see.
I want to say Kara, Stranger Things lady, she was reading Flight of Icarus and she said it wasn't canon.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, what level of canon they are, but I was just kind of curious. But kind of, it's written by one of the writers. One of the.
Has Gwenda Bond written any more than the first one? She just wrote the first one, right?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I know she did not. She did not write Flight of Icarus.
I think she just wrote the first one.
So, we'll
okay. Here are Kirsten's favorite Hopper moments. She said, since it is exceptionally hard to pick a moment, where here are some of my favorite generalized moments. Any moment between him and 11, the relationship is just so sweet. Any Joyce and Hopper moment in season 3, season 4, an iconic Hopper line, keep the door open 3 inches. This line almost had me in tears back in season 3. In the season 3 finale and throughout season 4, 11 continued to use it to honor him. I think over the last few years, this line has become one of the most iconic lines in Stranger Things. Great. Personality traits. Hopper has both a fierce personality together with a very caring personality. Due to his past experiences, he has a very detailed backstory in which I can see why he acts the way that he does. I have found that many of David Harbour's roles have this kind of backstory and behavior / personality traits. Our family recently watched Gran Turismo, in which David Harbour's role really reminded me of Hopper.
Yeah.
Excited to hear all your opinions on Hopper, Kirsten.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he has a similar personality in Violent Night, too.
Yeah.
And Hellboy.
But it's kind of funny. It's not because he's a bad actor and he's just kind of relying on the same old stuff over.
No.
I mean, it just fits the character. It's the characters that.
And
I mean,
Hellboy got panned. Like, people hated it, and I loved it.
I didn't hate it. I mean, I'm not really into that kind of genre of movie, but I appreciated it for what it was.
And the trailer alone made me just lose my mind.
Yeah,
so
it was fun. So, but thank you, Kirsten. Okay, next one is from Harry regarding Hopper. I think it's best to break him down by season. In season 1, Stranger Things has 2 kinds of villains. There are the violent ones like Brenner's people and the school bullies, and then there are the selfish ones more concerned with their own comfort and the problems of other people. Lonnie is a primary example of this, but Steve does this several times too, and Hopper starts off as this same guy. People love coffee and contemplation so much that they ask Hopper to say it to them on the street, but that's something an antagonist says, not a protagonist. However, Joyce's dilemma sets him right. He starts off dragging his feet, but actually having to do work reawakens his moral center like muscle memory. Hopper is literally saved from becoming Lonnie by the Byers family tragedy. I still wonder if Elle knows that he traded her for Will. Also, in that moment in episode 5, when Hopper tells Joyce that she was right all along, I remember thinking, oh, these two are getting it on. Season 2, here's Hopper as a parent, and he's not that great, is he? He's careless. He tries to manipulate her, but he's really clumsy about it. He's obviously more comfortable being a protector, carrying Will and an M16 through the Hawkins lab than he is as a caretaker. One thing I loved, though, was the moment in the truck when Elle, who had been living with him for a year, asks, who's Sarah? He's been raising Elle as his daughter, and he's never mentioned the daughter he never shuts up about with everyone else.
Jesus, Harry!
Season 3, The Hopper Who Shall Not Be Named. Season 3 was supposed to be lighthearted and fun, but very little of Hopper's BS was funny to me. His endless bickering with Joyce, his drunken rage at being friend-zoned by Joyce, yelling at Joyce that he needs to move on from Bob's death. I hated it. Season 4, it's the Gulag as therapy and weight loss retreat. Personally, I like the Russia plot, and not just because of the monster fighting. Hopper gets stripped down to the best part of himself, which might be the opposite of what happens when a person is starved and tortured in captivity. But if Elle can become a hero after her ordeals, Hopper can too. And of course, the show lets him get together with Joyce on a permanent basis, we hope, now that the Soviets have given him a flat stomach. Season 5, no idea what the Duffers are going to do with Hopper in season 5. I just hope he survives and forms a family with Joyce, Eleven, Jonathan, and what's his face. Thanks, best, Harry in Seattle.
Oh, thank you, Harry. Even though I wholly disagree with every point you made about season 3.
Well, he was kind of cranky in season 3. He was, you think about the scene.
I loved it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I loved it, but
it's Magnum.
When he
Magnum gets cranky.
When he and when he went to Enzo's and was, I'm the chief of police and
all
that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was kind of funny.
Okay, next up is from Luca. They say, hi, Scoopers. Happy 2024. Let's talk about Hopper. He's definitely my top 10 favorite characters in Stranger Things. My favorite Hopper moment was when he said, my favorite line in the whole show, there's nothing wrong with Nana. Same, Luca, same. His letter to Eleven was also one of the most emotional parts of the show. I also love when he's trying to steal the Todd father with Joyce in season 3. It is also really fun to see him let loose and sing to You Don't Mess Around with Jim. Just please don't post this episode on a morning because mornings are for coffee and contemplation. Hope you guys have a great day. Sincerely, Luca.
No, we post it in the morning. Well, depending where you are in the world, but you don't have to listen to it until the afternoon. So that's up to you.
You're going to have to wait.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Luke. Next one is from Ellie. Hey, Collin and Whitney, how are you guys? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Okay, completely random question. Do you have specific listeners whose emails each of you reads? That sounds very confusing, but basically, I've noticed that it's generally Collin who reads mine, and I was wondering if I'm Collin's responsibility and say, I don't know, Harriet is Whitney's. Truth is, yes. Generally, we've just found it to be easier because you guys may not realize it in listening to them, but in reading them and going through them, everybody kind of writes with a different voice, and you kind of, it's much. I mean, I know kind of how Ellie writes, and kind of how Harriet writes, and I, generally take, you take Harriet, I take Harry, and so I mean, it's not, we don't have a list, and there's no like Venn diagram or anything, but
No, and it also became a running joke with Harriet because she was like one of our first listeners that emailed in
right,
consistently, and like I would get so excited that Harriet, who was 12 at the time, would email, and so Colin just gave me her emails to read
right.
because. But now I love everybody's, but we've
Oh,
just
I do
stuck
too.
with
And
me
well, and that's
getting
what
Harriet's.
happened. That's actually what happened with you too, Ellie,
Yes,
because um, it was back when you were throwing all the Greek
yes.
words at me, and I was like trying to have fun with the Greek words. So then it just kind of became a running joke that
Mhm.
I was going to massacre the Greek words every email that Ellie wrote in, and so it just kind of became a thing. But yeah,
Right.
we've kind of gotten used to
There's just
everybody's kind of
certain
writing
ones.
style, so it's a little bit easier for us to kind of do it that way. So, but yeah, we could shake things up. So stay on your toes. She says, also, I missed the last episode because I was super busy, but even if I hadn't, I don't think I could have thought of any 80s songs. I did, however, know most of the songs that were mentioned, so I'm reasonably proud of both myself and my parents. For my birthday, I got a lot of books. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber,
Oh, I read that. It's good.
I have not.
It's a little
Uh,
series. It's very good.
the Isles of the Gods by Amy Kaufman, and the first two books of the Keeper of the Lost City series. I also got 4 books for Christmas. He he he. I got The Love Hypothesis, Captain Corelli's Mandolin. I saw the movie, did not read the book. Forgery of Roses, and Rule of Wolves. Rule of Wolves is by Lee Bardugo, my favorite author of art all time. I mean, if anyone has read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, please let me know. I feel very alone in the world.
It's on my list. And I think she also wrote Ninth House, maybe, but she's on my list.
Okay. Anyway, on to Chief Hopper, we all know and love. I love Hopper, except for in the beginning of season 3. He got on my nerves there. But other than that, chef's kiss. Plus, he reads Ellen Sarah, Anne of Green Gables, which is another favorite series of mine. Speaking of Sarah Hopper, I recently watched Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and Sarah Hopper is in it, the actress who plays her, with the name, playing the character, Nancy Wheeler,
Oh,
which is hilarious. I remember watching it because I'm like, where do I know this girl from? And it's the actress that played Sarah,
oh,
and her character's name is, yeah, Nancy Wheeler,
huh.
which is kind of funny. And Ellie says the actress is my age. So Hopper, all in all, a great person, great dad, great chief of police, great boyfriend of Joyce. I don't have anything else to say that hasn't been said already, so I'll leave it at that. Bye, Ellie.
Hey, next up we have Harriet. She says, Hi, Colin and Whitney. Happy New Year's. My week in Dublin went well. I saw my cousins and relatives, which was great, although it was very cold and the 14-hour flight was not very pleasant. I get really nauseous on planes and the food doesn't help. Ooh, no. Anyway, so Hopper. It's been a while since I watched season 1 back, but I remember rooting for Hopper a lot of the time. But I was very weirded out by him ripping his entire trailer apart before checking the light. Probably the first thing I would have done. Yeah, whenever you're
Yeah,
looking for a
it's always in the
tool.
light, right?
Mhm. And I've always loved the way he supported Joyce, even when the town thought she was crazy. And of course, the Russia plot. I absolutely lost it when Joyce set off with Murray to rescue him. I'm a sucker for that trope. And that's all I got. I hope 2024 is a very strange year for us. I'm definitely wishing for a release date. Love, Harriet. Well, you're getting one, but it's not till 2025.
Will be happy times, but yeah, that's okay.
All
All
right,
right.
we have, you want to catch up on some other emails that
Yeah,
came in
we
that are not.
actually completely missed this. For some reason, it went into our junk mail for some reason from Eve. So, but I
Oh, yeah.
but I dug it out.
Yeah. So this is for our music episode from last time,
Yeah.
and it went to our junk mail. And she says, Ahoy, Scoopers. I was not around in the 80s and therefore have no specific 80s songs I want to hear in season 5, but I have 2 songs that would definitely work in season 5, 80s or not. I need to hear the Foo Fighters, The Sky is a Neighborhood in season 5. We can't clip it because YouTube was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, they zapped
So
it.
we'll post it on the socials instead.
Yep.
Number of times I've watched the music video and thought, my God, this gives Stranger Things vibes is worryingly high. Plus, I'm a mega Foo Fighters fan, so that would be an added bonus. If you haven't heard the song before, go listen to it and you'll realize how perfect it is for season 5. For the final fight scene against Vecna, because let's face it, it's bound to be Elle, I have to hear Look What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift. Yes, I realize I'm channeling my inner Swiftie, but the lyrics are I got smarter, I got harder in the nick of time. Honey, I rose up from the dead. I do it all the time. Eleven has to grow so fast over Stranger Things and overcome so much. I would say she's gotten harder and smarter just in time to save the world every season. And at the end of season 1, Elle was presumed to be dead and nearly died at the end of season 4. This is her song. Give Elle her reputation era. Please, Lord, I need to hear Taylor Swift and Stranger Things. Finally, a little bit of news. I turned 17 on Christmas Day. Well, happy birthday, Eve.
Yay! Happy birthday, Eve.
Finally, I'm actually so excited because I think my family gave me or got me loads of Stranger Things stuff. Well, you'll have to tell us next time.
Yeah.
We'll share pictures if I'm right. As I said, that's all I've got this month. Merry Christmas, everyone, and see you next year. OMG 2024. Wow, that's gone fast. Happy New Year at the same time, I guess. Love from the UK, Eve.
Yeah, and then she actually emailed for this episode to say that she's not going to email because her dad surprised the whole family with a trip to Spain. So yeah, so they're all in Spain. So she hasn't gotten us any pictures or anything yet, but I'm assuming by the time the next episode rolls around,
yes,
we will get those. So speaking of the next episode, we will be back on February 1st with a bit of a throwback episode. We're going to do another deep dive, but it's not a character deep dive. We're going to take a look at, and I talked about it up at the top of the show, the original Montauk show Bible that the Duffers put together to originally pitch their concept and get Stranger Things sold, or bought and sold and produced. And we're also going to take a look at the first script that they wrote for the pilot episode. So I'm assuming you guys have all at some point tripped on it, or, at least kind of flipped through it or not, being all the Stranger Things fans that you guys are. But if you have not, we will include links to both of them in our socials, on Facebook and on Twitter. So, but if you can't get them there, just email us and we'll just email them to you. So you can read them. They're just like PDF files, so you can kind of look through them.
And they're not very short, but they include pictures and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, the show Bible is really neat how they put it together. They put like clips from other movies that that kind of inspired, and that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of neat. So we'll include links to both of those. They're also both real quick reads. So you can kind of flip through them, and then send us your thoughts and what you noticed and that kind of stuff, and we'll talk about that. So email us by Sunday, January 28th, so about 4 weeks or so, and then we will be back on Thursday, February 1st with our very next episode. So
yeah, you'll be killing me to record that night, or to record that week, because I will have just gotten the new Crescent City book, and I will not want to do anything but read.
Okay.
So that's how much I love you guys.
Okay.
As always, you can email us at scoopshoypod@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at scoopshoypod. We have our own little Discord server, which you can join. You can find the links pinned in Facebook and on Twitter. And if you want to email us, feel free to talk about whatever you want. You can just email us, say hi. We like it.
We love it.
All right, that does it for.
Or tell us who you want to read your email if you're getting sick of.
If you're getting Harriet, if you're getting sick of hearing me read your emails, then you just let me know, girl.
That's right.
We'll switch it up.
Oh yeah, we'll be crazy.
If somebody else wants me to read theirs, just all you gotta do is let us know, and we'll do it.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for tuning. Wait. I want
Yes.
to thank everybody for listening and watching. Hope you tune in next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Stranger Things audio clips and official score are the property of Netflix. Incidental music by Blue Mount Score from Pixabay.